Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and this is for sure the final episode of this series building the Baneblade from Warhammer. Now, previously I've obviously built it. That you've seen there's 5 other episodes of, one episode of looking at it, then 3 episodes of building it, and then 1 episode of getting it ready for the painting bit. And this is the final one, this is the big one, this is the painting. Digital camouflage. Something that I've never tried before and stupidly suggested would be a good idea to do on this Baneblade. So yeah, if you didn't see the previous episode, I have done a couple of test pieces to give myself a sort of hand in and an idea as to what's going to happen. It's not going to go quite like that. Go and watch the episode, it will show you how I came up with this and did this, but that one is pretty much rubbish. This was brush painted without any other primer, and you can still see shadows of the darker colours under the orange. This one's nicer. I did airbrush the orange, but the positioning and the patterning leaves a lot to be desired. My friend Scott from Orkney has lent me his tools for making digital camo. Now these are like a masking sheet that you're meant to cut around the outside of to give you the shapes and the patterns, but that's what I used for a few of these, and then I went freehand on it. They're a bit too small, so what else is in the pack is this, which is a solid metal sheet which has just got the grid lines on it and some tiny ones on that side that I definitely won't be using. So my plan is to use this to stick the masking onto, which is like a transparent masking sheet, and then you can cut around that to give yourself the random shapes, randomish. So the Baneblade itself is here in primer, pretty much good to go. Bits aren't attached to it yet. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to be doing them in place or not. Probably in parts, because it's a lot easier to handle in bits, especially things like the turret that obviously you've got to get around unusual shapes and things, and it doesn't actually matter if it doesn't match up with the rest of it. Now these side panels, obviously these bits will sort of need to match up, so I think I might have to glue those in place before, and the whole top bit again sort of has to match up, so I think I've got to do this as one bit, but I can do the turret separately. We'll worry about that as the time goes by. What I have done is a little bit of research. The problem I had with the digital camo was that it's too small. I was thinking too small. I've thought bigger, and done some research, found a couple of images of different camo patterns, and basically I need to go more. So it's not going to be mainly orange with a couple of patches. It's going to be sort of, I think the pink is going to be in the minority, but then the red and the orange are going to be almost equal. So to start off with, I need to put some pink on it in fairly large patches. Doesn't matter if I go too big, because I can always paint over the top of it anyway. So yeah, I'm going to get the paint ready and get started on that. I'm going to start on the bottom of it. Now obviously all of it's got to be done, and that's a large area down the back there that I can sort of practice on and make sure it looks right before I go too far onto the rest of it. So I'm going to start down there and we'll see how it goes. So I've got some pink out on my wet palette just to keep the paint moist and good to go. I've got quite a lot on there because I figure I can use it in the days to come for the rest of it. So I'm going to paint on some patches. Now this is going to be hopefully bigger than the patch that I really need at the end of it, but as I say, I can go over it afterwards anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to do some sort of shapes, not worrying too much about thinking about anything about where it's going or anything else. And what I'm going to do after I've got these painted on and they're dry, I'm going to give them a couple of thin coats, obviously. I shall mask over some of this with the pink to preserve the pink underneath while I put the red and the orange over the top. That's the plan. We'll see how it actually works out. down the line. I'm just going to do to the front of this, just going to do the base rather than all of it. So I'm going to do the 3 layers, the 3 types on the base, and see how it works, how it looks, if I've got the balances about right. So I say this is going to be the least coverage of all of it, but again, doesn't matter if some bits got too much coverage, as it were, because I can go over the top of it afterwards. So I'll leave that to dry. I'll get another coat on that done in a little while, and then we'll see about cutting out some shapes. After 3 thin coats, I've got some patches of colour down there which look pretty good. They're solid patches, they're not brush marks or anything in there, mostly, apart from around the edges, but I'm not going to be using the edges anyway. I'm going to be using the main bit. So we have the masking sheet from that I started using previously. What I'm actually going to do is start in a different corner. I'll start this corner at the top here. So the way I think I'm going to do it is to peel off, hopefully so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to peel off the sticky bit and basically stick the metal plate underneath it. I think that's going to be my best plan. So if I've got that down there, then that gives me, as well as a nice cutting surface, it gives me all these lines that you can't really see. On there you go, there are a gridwork of lines which will give me the pattern. So I don't know if I'm going to go, I think I'm going to mainly do it in pairs rather than individuals. No, we'll go individuals as well. So I can use the edge as one, although no, I won't. I'll start off, because it's not gone right up to the edge. I don't know how I'm not going to very easily get that to stick right to the edge. So I'll start off from an edge. I'm going to go across a couple, and then I can go down one, and I can go across a couple more. I can actually feel the steps with the knife going into them. So hopefully this is giving me a nice shape. I'm just not thinking about the shapes that I'm making so much. Just going to go across a few more, then let's go down another one, across a couple, up a couple, it's not I say a uniform shape. Go across 3, go back up to that top, let's go across 1, down 1, actually go down 2. Oh, I missed that line a little bit. Get that down there a bit. Right, I'm going to call that as far across as I'm going to go. So yeah, I'll make my way back. I won't film all of this because, you know, but when I come to show you the bit, I'll show you the bit that I've got. So that should have given me a piece of a sort of random shaping. Hopefully that will just pop out. Let's try and get it to follow the cuts. Seems to be working. First time is always a little bit nervous. You don't know exactly how these things are going to work, but let's leave that stuck down. I think might be the easiest way of doing this. If I can leave that stuck down on the piece, then I'm not going to be getting fingerprints all over the inside of it, so it might stick down better onto the kit itself. Just the corner actually didn't quite cut through. There we go. That's that down there. It's looking like it's working. depending on how the edges work, I might be able to use the edges sort of on the inside as the top edge of another piece, if you know what I mean. So there we go. On there I have a cut out piece. So I should be able to peel that off and apply it, if I haven't made it too big. So I'm going to go, let's go for down here. So I can put it somewhere across here, that'll do. Going obviously square to keep the edges on the edges. That should be the first part of my digital camo applied. Obviously I need to make sure the edges get stuck down properly, and so make sure it stays where it should be and that paint doesn't try and leak underneath. But I think that should be it. The dangerous areas are going to be around the panels and the rivets, so I'm just going to spend a few minutes, say, going around the edges, making sure that's stuck down, and obviously then continue on with some more of the same. Yeah, let's see, it's lifting up while I'm trying to push that down. I'm going to try and use perhaps the seam line remover, which isn't sharp but has a square in it, so I should be able to use that to get into the edges, hopefully cause things to get pressed down nicely. Not worrying too much about bulbing up in the middle, because it's in the middle. So yeah, I'm going to get a few more of these cut out and put down onto there, and then we'll see how it looks before it gets more paint. And I think I'm going to leave that there. That's obviously the bits that are sort of grayer are the bits that I've masked off. So they're the bits that will be staying pink. So it's less than a third, but that's always going to be the minor colour, if you like. So I'm going to make sure these are stuck down properly at the edges. Just keep going over them and sort of stretching them out a little bit over the rivets and things. When I'm happy with how they're sitting down, I'll be going over with the second colour, the red, the Mephiston red. Maybe not covering all of them, because some of them are still going to have to be orange over next to this. It's not that it's not going to be orange, red, pink. Some of the pink will be directly next to the orange. So yeah, it's again a random covering of about half of the bottom of this in orange, I think is the way that's going to go. And then I'll have to prime it again and then put the white over the top. So yeah, a little bit of time spent making sure that these edges are okay. Hopefully will save me a lot of touch up at the end of the day once I peel it all off, once all the colours are down. So I'll get that down, I'll get some red on. There's no point in showing you do that because you've seen me paint things before. Red on exactly the same as the pink, but in a different place, and then we'll see how the masking looks after that. As ever, I've got a change of plans. I'm not entirely convinced that some of these edges are going to stay stuck down properly, especially as I'm going to be brush painting the red over the top of it. So what I'm doing is using the pink again and basically painting the edges. Now hopefully this will give us a sort of a seam, so some coverage of the pink is going to go underneath, but because it's the pink going underneath, it doesn't matter because it's pink. And hopefully that will create a border between the masking and the underneath bit. So although the pink's gone underneath, it will, the very fact that the pink's gone underneath will stop the red from going underneath, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to get all of this done, edges, then get some red down, and then we'll worry about the second layer of masking. So yeah. The next step. The observant amongst you may have noticed it's not red, it's orange. I had a think and decided to change things up a little bit. I'm still going to do the 3 colour scheme, but the orange doesn't go over the red very well, as we found out in the test. If you remember, it still shows up as patchy and horrible, so I had to reprime it, and that's just another step. So what I'm doing, what I've done, what I've half done, what I'm in the process of doing, is the orange, which I've done a couple of coats on over the pink, and then I have a spray can of Mephiston red, which I picked up from the local Warhammer shop. So I'm going to put the masking down over this, more masking, because I still want orange to be the sort of predominant colour. So probably about half, a little more than half maybe, of this will now be covered in masking. Some over the top of this, some not over the top of other bits and everything else. And then I can just spray all of it red and then remove all the masking, and hopefully it will be exactly what I intend to do. So back to the cutting out the masking bits, but some bigger bits. So not the little bits like this. This is definitely going to be chunkier and heavier. So I'll get some of those put on, or get all of them put on, and then show you what the masking looks like before I do the painting. So see you momentarily. Next stage of masking complete. I still need to make sure it's all pressed down, and then go over it again with the orange on some of the edges to make sure that that doesn't leak under, and then it'll be time to spray the red. I can't film any of the spraying with red because I've got to do it, you know, outside and away from people that breathe. So next bit will be after it's been sprayed, and we'll see how it looks, and then we'll see about uncovering the masking live on air. We'll see if I can reuse any of these masking pieces as well. I'm hoping that I can, because say they're shapes that I've just randomly drawn, so we'll see how it looks and if they're usable afterwards. But yeah, hopefully you can sort of see the bits that are going to be there. So they should be the orange bits, except for the bits that are over the pink. It's difficult to explain. I'll show you in a minute. And now comes the moment of truth, the moment we've all been waiting for, the moment we see just how badly it's all turned out. Now, I've sprayed it with the Mephiston Red Air, the actual spray can, proper shaky rattle can, and it's dried, and I can see there's going to be some problems. I can see here, obviously, that didn't stick down nearly as well as it should. So I've already got a corner there that, although there's orange underneath, there isn't a nice neat shape. So I'm expecting that in a few places. Hopefully not very much, not very bad, but yeah, let's see how it's going to come out. Yeah, I'm just going to find an edge and peel away. Now, as I was saying, I was hoping that I'm going to be able to reuse at least some of this. It depends. If it's not sticking down at the edges first time out, then it's probably not going to stick down there, you know, second time round. So I think I might be unlikely to reuse things like that, because it has obviously seeped under the edges there. So I'm going to get rid of that bit. Still, the masking has worked. There's definitely orange under there. Let's try and get this bit off here as well, because this is obviously going to be the pink underneath there. So far so good. Again, this bit isn't going to be any use afterwards, because it's all, I think it is only going to be one use masking. So yeah, again I can see obviously some oranges. Oh, that's a corner there that should have come off as well. A couple of bits on the corner and the edges will need some touching up, but that's not nearly as bad as I feared it was going to be. Right, I'm going to get the rest of this masking off, and we'll see where the problem areas are and what we can do about it. And there we have it. All in all, I'm actually very happy. There's obviously bits that aren't right. The worst bit is probably that first bit that I pointed out. The edges of that is not nearly where it should be, but that can be touched up. That's not a problem. There's a couple of other spots where obviously when I put the pink down over the edges, it's gone very thick. I'll leave this to, you know, properly dry, exposed to the air for a couple of days, and see how it comes out. But I'm quite happy with that. There's less red than I thought there was going to be after I'd taken off all the masking. But yeah, I'm happy. That's not bad at all. A little bit of touch up. I'll let it dry, then touch it up, and then we'll see how it looks and continue in much the same vein. What I'm going to do now, or once I finish with the base, I am actually going to attach the turrets in place, because I need to be able to mask around where they join and make them look like they're attached rather than separate, and obviously the same on the sides and indeed underneath where the corners are. So once it's all dry and I'm happy with how the bottom of it looks, I won't have to turn it over and rest it upside down anymore. I shall continue on, I say, rebuilding some of it. The turrets and that are still going to be the separate pieces, so I'm going to have the one main base, the turret, and the top piece. No, the top piece will probably get attached on as well. I'll see how it goes. But yeah, all in all, that's come out better than I hoped. Not as well as I thought it possibly might, but good enough. I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, I'll get it dry and see how it goes. So that's as assembled as it needs to be. The two other bits I've got is the one turret from the front and the big turret from the top. Because they're turrets, they rotate. You can do the camo in any way. The other 4 turrets on here are attached, obviously, so you can't take them off very easily the way they're sort of pinned through, they're glued in place. So yeah, I'm going to start exactly the same as the underside, which is about as good as I'd hoped it was going to be. So yeah, so I'm going to put some pink on. I'm going to do this as one bit and then worry about doing the turrets afterwards. So get the pink on, get the masking on, get the orange over the top, get the masking on, get the red cover and everything, and then I'll come back and do some more filming of getting the masking off. But you've seen the stages before on there, so there's no point in me taking 5 or 6 times longer than I will normally take to get it all done. Although I think I might show you an intermediate stage, but yeah, don't expect this to be full of me painting and cutting things off, because you've seen it. So I'm going to get on with it now, so I'll see you when there's more paint on it. There we are, all painted up. Now, last time you saw it, it was all white. Now it's obviously all red, except it's not all red because I've done lots of masking. Now, for some reason, a lot of these masking paper that I've been using has not liked sticking down on edges. I tried to spray the red sort of directionally so it's not trying to go underneath, but I'm sure it has in many places. So there is going to be a lot of sort of touch up and tidying up to be done, but let's see how it goes. Let's take off this is a big bit, so let's get the big bit off. So yeah, under there, not bad at all. Edges do need tidying, as I expected, and the masking paper is pretty much not usable again. It might be, but it isn't. So yeah, let's do a little bit as well to see how the little bits work. Yeah, again, the edges aren't quite as crisp as I would like, so I'm going to go in and tidy those up by hand. But there we go. I'm going to get the rest of the masking off, and then obviously I do need to do the same again to the big turret. I should really have done it at the same time, but I just wanted to get this, make sure it works. So I shall pick and choose and get all the masking off. Not only the bits that cover the orange, but I need to go deeper and get the bits that cover the pink as well. So look, there's one here. Look, this bit's been on here for a long time because it's other things have taken up my time. So there you go. That's the 3 colour scheme that we're going to end up with. Red, mainly red probably, depends how much I actually covered in masking for the orange, but red and orange are the 2 primary colours, and then there's little patches of the light pink. So I shall get that stripped down and we'll see how it looks. Unleashed in all of its glory, or some of its, in a little bit of its glory. Yeah, mostly not bad. There are obviously a few patches where I figured it was going to need some attention. Some of the edges have got a little bit sort of feathered where it wasn't a sharp edge that it was stuck down on, but many of them are actually quite nice and fine. So I'm going to go in with a paintbrush, a small hairy stick, and tidy up where I can. I'll start off going through the pink and seeing if I can get that to colour over. Being that the pink is more of a layer colour, it might not cover up, so I might have to adapt the patterning a little bit. But we'll get some edges sharpened and then we'll see how it goes. And the turret is now painted, completed, finished, done, as is the final little turret thing. The last thing to do is the tidy up time. So as you can see, the masking didn't work as I expected it not to, over some rough bits. So a little bit of touch up using the three colours, the Troll Slayer orange, the Mephiston red and Fulgrim pink, just to tidy up the edges. As you can see, some of the where it goes over rivets and over lines and things, it doesn't quite match up right. So a little bit of brush tidying up just to sharpen some corners and edges like I did on the main thing, and then we'll be done. So I'll get this done and show you a final look at the completed camo, and then we'll go on from there. And that's the camo done. It still needs more detailed painting, and especially, you know, metallic bits and things here and there. The entire back bit needs sorting out, as do, say, the tracks and the wheels and some of the gun bits, and there's still lots of things to do, but the main painting, the camo painting job, is completed. So that is going to be the end of this video. There will be one more. I know I keep saying there's one more, but there's just one more where I'll be doing the detailing, painting and the weathering. It's not going to be heavily weathered, but there's going to be some attention to, apart from anything else, it blends everything together and brings the camo back home. There are two other pieces that have not been painted at all yet. There's obviously the cover that goes over that bit that hasn't been painted either. That needs metallics in there, and the ladder which goes on that side just down there. But obviously that goes, it's not going to be camo, it's going to be metallic, so didn't need painting at the moment. But other than that, I'm happy with how it's come out. It's not entirely what I had in mind. There's more red and less orange than I had visually pictured, but the way the painting needed to be done in order and masking and things, it works out quite well that way. So I'm happy with how it's come out. It's not perfect, but nothing I ever do really is. So that's that. I've put some pictures up on the Facebook pages and everywhere, so you can see a better look at it from a wider angle. But that's that. I hope you've enjoyed the painting, and indeed the build series so far. Stick around in the next coming weeks for the last and final part where it all, you know, comes together. So thank you for watching. I shall see you soon, and enjoy it. Bye.